Welcome to the Sensible Center podcast, where two middle-aged guys drunkenly talk politics and political reform. Grab an adult beverage and enjoy the show. Further information can be found at sensiblecenterpack.com. You can reach us at sensiblecenterpack@gmail.com or follow us on X at USASCPack. Hey there, Bob. Happy
Kevin,
fall.
the season has changed and the weather's cooling off. Time for bourbon.
Time for bourbon? That's for sure. It's bourbon weather, right? Red wine and bourbon weather. It's drinking season.
Red wine and bourbon. And
drinking
stout.
season.
It's drinking season, that's right.
although being retired, I don't think drinking season ever ends for me. That's a problem.
Being employed, drinking season never ends for me.
That's true. It's a Tuesday afternoon, and guess what? I'm drinking.
That's right.
I've tried to cut back a little bit because it's not a great thing, but
No, you know what? I've been doing the same. I haven't been drinking very heavily lately.
that's right. I tried water a little bit more this summer. All that good stuff.
That helps, actually. Water helps a lot.
Yeah, I never drink enough water. That helps keep hydrated and prevents hangovers at the end of the day.
I've been getting my eight glasses of water in, or 8 cups of water in every day lately.
This is our drinking segment of the show.
It is, and I am drinking a Elijah Craig Barrel Proof today.
Wow. I'm drinking a Seagram's and 7.
Actually, I am also drinking a pumpkin latte
Look at you.
stout or something like that. Yeah.
Wow. You're double fisting it tonight.
I am. That's part. I'm drinking light. I'm not triple fisting it.
I'm drinking a highball from the 70s. An old-fashioned highball.
I like that. You said it's a 7-7, Seagram 7 and 7
Yeah,
Up?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good drink. My grandfather used to drink those.
Canadian Club, Seagram and 7,
Yeah,
we've got
really,
too high end. Those are, you could, any liquor you could buy in a plastic bottle is not too bad, right?
any whiskey and 7 Up is good, first of all.
Right.
Yeah. Seagram's, what do you get, $19.95 for a gallon of that or something like that?
That's
it's not
right.
too bad. At least it used to be.
Goes down easy. You
Yeah.
still get a little bit of a buzz,
Yeah, I like that stuff.
Yeah, it's an old man's highball.
As a matter of fact, when my grandfather went, that's what my cousins and I did. We went out and got a gallon of Seagram's and a case of 7 Up, and at his funeral,
Toast it to him. Nice.
got through it. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. All right, let's get down to business here. One thing I wanted to point out on our last podcast, which we got a lot of good feedback from, they liked us talking about what we were talking about, political violence, right? But right after the show, I realized I didn't mention January 6th, which we could argue whether it's political violence or not. I would say it's the epitome of political violence, but
There were something like 200 feds.
yes,
in the crowd.
yeah, right. And then the Oklahoma City bombing, too.
I did mention that, didn't I?
Oh, you did?
I think so.
All right. Well, we got those covered. I just wanted to make sure that I felt remiss not mentioning those. So, lots been going on. I thought, about 1.5 weeks ago when I was thinking about what our next episode was going to be about, we're going through the Jimmy Kimmel thing, right? And the free speech and the pressure put on, I guess, ABC at the time and Hulu and Disney, and that sort of resolved itself, I guess. But I thought that would be a good topic to talk about. But then I started thinking even more that there's a bigger trend going on, and so much has happened since that time that I thought it would be good to kind of check in, since everything's happening much quicker in the second Trump term than I imagined, and kind of cutting to the chase and thinking along the lines of, can we acknowledge at this point that we're living under an authoritarian regime? I know that's a big jump, but roll with me on this. Admittedly, authoritarianism is a sliding scale, right? It's the type of thing that at some point you're kind of in the authoritarian zone. You might not be Stalin, but you are Stalin adjacent. Or you might not be Pinochet, but you have the same Amazon delivery driver. That's from my crack comedy writing staff. I wrote that. I hired some people from Jimmy Kimmel that left him when
We're going to have to start paying people to listen to our podcast to thank Kevin. Keep that up.
That's right. Some furloughed government employees helped me write that. since they got nothing going on. But I looked up the definition of autocracy since people are starting to throw that around. They've thrown it around during Trump's term for a while, but I think we could start checking things off, and we'll do a lightning round here and go through it. But I looked up the definition because I like to, get definitions of things before just throwing out terms. And an autocracy is a single individual possesses absolute and unlimited power without any legal or constitutional constraints. This single ruler, known as the autocrat, holds complete control over all political, social, economic, and military aspects of the state. So that's a pretty harsh definition, right? I think that's a high bar to achieve, right? But I think during the first Trump term, a lot of people were. I think part of the problem was there was a little bit of crying wolf and Chicken Little going on, which I think we kind of talked about over time. That people were just raising points that weren't necessarily too serious. I think the second term, some of the stuff is actually happening this time that we're talking about. I don't know whether it was COVID or the impeachment or whether he didn't have control. He didn't have control of Congress his whole first term, right? That was only like the first 2 years, right?
Yeah, first 2 years. This time, second time, it looks like they might get the green light to add about 19 conservative House seats by getting rid of some of the gerrymandering.
Yeah, well, getting rid of it or redoing it,
Yeah.
or tightening it down.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what they're looking at for the midterm. So, what I thought we would do is I kind of took a list of things off the top of my head that have happened since January 20th, 2025, which seems like 5 years ago, and it's only 9 months ago. I know a lot of people in my life are nervous. I don't know. Do you notice down in Tennessee people nervous about anything or talking about stuff or anything like that?
I think I notice around my closest peers maybe a little bit of economic uncertainty.
Economic, okay.
But where I live, it's kind of somewhat isolated from all that too, because it's just a bunch of people who, quite frankly, are native Californians who brought a bunch of money with them, right?
So they're less concerned about the economic side of things. Or...
Exactly. From a political standpoint, I think you put it right when you mentioned, you and I were chatting, and you said nobody. I'm out on the lake all day, and nobody's talking about Charlie Kirk right after he got
right.
killed, and it's kind of like that here. I mean, I'm not hearing anybody really talk about politics. Out around the neighborhood, you walk around the neighborhood, you talk to people, nobody brings up politics. If they do, it's I moved here to get away from, the garbage on California. That's about all you hear. Mm-hmm. Around the office, it's really the same sort of thing. I don't hear any of it. Like
Would you say it's less than it's been? Do you think people are just burned out of it?
I do. I used to involve myself, and I used to seek that stuff out a lot more, too.
That would explain our ratings on our podcast.
Oh, we got an R rating. No kidding.
No, not rating. I mean the number of people who listen.
Oh, yeah, that could be.
No, we love our audience. We've got a steady crew of dedicated followers, but so you're not hearing a lot of chatter, is what you're saying.
Not at all.
I would say people fairly close to me in my life are visibly nervous. I would say.
Yeah, I think it's probably the case too, though, that you've got a larger number of lefties closer to you.
Yep.
And I would say that it was probably, when powers were switched, it was probably a little bit different, right? I mean, I probably had more people squawking because I got, generally speaking, more conservatives close to me.
Okay.
And that may be. It does kind of have that feeling like, when the other guy's in power and he does something wrong, you want to scream loud about it.
Right.
Or perceived to be wrong. Anyway.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking more than, and I guess you're right. It kind of depends on your perspective and where you're coming from, whether but I just think we've entered a different zone. I, I just, and I'm not one to call Chicken Little or
I
not.
won't disagree with you. I think Trump is doing some things that haven't been done before.
Right.
But I think he's forcing decisions instead of allowing people, things people probably been talking about for 50 or 100 years are now being forced through the court system. So decisions are made instead of, like just random bickering and posturing. That's
Right.
my thoughts on it, right? So he's forcing some of this change, whether or not you can make the argument, if these arguments or the Supreme Court decisions would be the same. If it was a different court, I'd like to think so, but it's hard to say. But he's forcing these things through the court to get answers. The interesting point on that, though, I think, too, is 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, the Supreme Court decision was probably far more binding than it will be 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. Because sooner or later, you're going to get a court that is much more left-leaning, and they're going to be much more willing to overturn precedents.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at this point.
Well, I'm just saying,
far,
whatever comes from the
assuming
court
we make
now,
it to that stage.
whatever comes from the court now isn't necessarily something you need to be,
So you're generally in the camp that, before we go through this lightning round list of things that I would like to point out, you're generally in the camp of everything's still going to be okay. Yeah, he's pushing the envelope, so to speak, but our institutions are still in place, and we're going to see how far he can take it. That's kind of where you're.
I do think our problem is growing with corporate and political ties.
Okay.
I think that's a problem.
Okay. That's part of my list here, but so I've just off the top of my head listed 21 things that would indicate that we're possibly moving, either we're in an authoritarian regime, and it's sort of like, I always equate it to they talk about the frogs. Is it the frogs boiling with the water temperature turning up?
Yep.
You don't realize until you're boiling until you're it's too
Too late.
That's kind of where I'm at now. The temperature keeps on getting turned up, right? Can we at least admit that the temperature seems to be getting turned up? Or no, it's just all the same? You're thinking about that way too deeply.
Well, I agree in principle that it does feel like the temperature is getting turned up. I'm not sure if it's the politicians over the social media.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that, but actual actions. Okay, let's go through the actions. So, number one, the number of executive orders. Any concern about that? So I looked back, and as of the closest thing I could find was as of August 26th, he's issued 196 executive orders. In that same period of time, Biden issued 55. Trump in his first term issued only 44, and Obama in his first term during that time issued 22. So just kind of, you assume that, when you first get in office again, you're going to do a lot of executive orders, right?
I've never liked executive orders.
Seems to be the pattern. So he's issued more than I think Biden did during his whole term already.
Yeah, I've never liked him.
So with that definition of authoritarian, any concern? Well, you don't like him, but you're not concerned that that's a symptom of this authoritarian or autocracy.
How many of them have been overturned?
I don't know. A lot of them are still in the courts. So he's issued them. You can't necessarily.
Yeah.
So you're going to say, well, it's still to be determined. Well, you can. I'm again with the frog boiling thing. If we wait for all that to play out, I think it might be too late, right? And I don't know what we do about it at this point. There's people who say, "Oh, you got to resist," and I'm just bringing the stuff up.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
not going to
that's
stop. I mean,
I think that's the best way to
I,
do it. Just point it
I
out to people and ask them questions, right? Are you
I've never
concerned
liked
about this?
executive orders. I
All
think,
right.
but I do also think Congress is broken, so I don't like that either.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
All right. So you don't like it.
I don't like it.
All right. So we'll circle that one on the plus side on the authoritarian side. How about I should use a pen here. So that's one I would say that we both don't like that, right?
That's correct.
All
No,
right.
sir, I don't like it.
What about military in the streets? Any concern with military in the streets? And that's been done. It's being done. It's been threatened numerous times. Any concern about that using military for law enforcement purposes?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. So
Yeah.
if you had, let's just say, 1,000 terrorists pour into every city from name your country. I don't care if it's China, Russia, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Would you support military in the city?
No.
Okay. So you think no action should be taken, or the police? How
No,
about
we
10,
have
how
we
about
have law
10,000
enforcement.
terrorists?
We have law enforcement.
Yeah, but they're
I mean,
carrying
you're
weapons
you're
and they're
getting.
shooting at innocent people.
You think we're there? Is that what you think is happening here? Or is this just hypothetical?
How long? Well, this is
Answer my
hypothetical.
question.
This is hypothetical.
But
This is
you don't
hypothetical.
think we're there? You don't honestly think we're being invaded, do you?
No, but I do think
Okay.
there's a problem with innocent people getting killed all the time.
Well, there's always been that.
Is
I
it
mean,
to a greater extent than it was?
I don't think numbers would show you that it's higher than historically high. No, I think we had an uptick in 2020 and 2021, COVID driven more than anything. I would say.
Now they're not
People are
reporting
not on the
in a lot of
streets.
these large cities. They're
All
not even
right, all
reporting
right, all
crimes
right.
anymore.
Now we're
I don't
getting
know.
into the numbers.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I mean, if you're protecting people and it's about protecting people, then I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have a problem with it. On the other hand, it's a very slippery slope. Define the need, right?
Yeah,
Where's that
it
need
is.
lie? So, and what are they doing, right? Are they?
But you don't have a problem with military doing law enforcement duties. I mean, literally, potentially, and we haven't had any situations yet, potentially shooting American citizens at some point, right? There's a potential for that.
That's a hypothetical,
Yeah,
but yeah.
but
So,
you have
I mean,
armed
if
military
they, you know,
people
again,
roaming the streets, right?
I think if the military shoots an American citizen, the law should be the same as it would be for a normal police officer, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Then it gets real. Then it starts getting really blurry if you want to go down that slippery slope, right? So I think his argument, I think, at least in LA, was we're sending in these ICE agents, right? They need to be protected somehow if the local law enforcement and the local government isn't going to help us, right? If there's no cooperation, they're sort of on their own. I think his standing has been, at least that's what it started. Now it's a little bit more of, oh, we need to clean up the crime. That's the slippery slope you're heading down, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Where's
And,
the crime?
and that
Yep. So what's
happened.
next?
That happened a lot quicker than I thought, and I didn't foresee that step. I have an issue with them using it in any case, but at least from the standpoint of, okay, we're setting in federal agents. If the local government isn't going to provide security, because sometimes those are pretty rough situations. We're taking people from their homes, from their workplaces, right? And that's my third thing is masked federal agents invading workplace, homes, courts to grab people, including U.S. citizens, right? They've rounded up citizens. You know that they've done that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So private property without a warrant is a big no-no.
Okay, so just going back to number two, we're not happy with military in the streets, right?
I lean towards no. I don't like
Okay.
it,
All right.
but
So that's two.
it's a
That's
soft
two.
lean.
That's two. So mass federal agents kind of breaking down doors. It's. I knew this was going to be an issue when he was talking about deportations and whatnot, because the implementation of it gets ugly. I mean, you could agree that people don't belong here, but when you try to execute on that, it gets, you know, it's not easy to do, right?
The
So
Supreme
I'm
Court seems to think it's okay.
to drag people from work, hound
They
them at Home
seem
Depot,
they
or
seem to think so.
see, I always thought that we're going after the criminal element, right? And it seems like we've again slippery slope. We've kind of
I think what they're
in a
trying to do is
short
scare
order.
them
We've kind of
all in towards deportation, and I think the numbers that I saw, of course, they're from the government, so take them from with a grain of salt. But the numbers I saw, something like 1.5 million have self-deported, which is far more than I could have dreamed of.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I don't know whether that number's correct or not, as you
yeah, I don't
point
know.
out, but at what cost, right? That's the thing. If we throw away our system, if we throw away due process, if we have American citizens fearful, uh, then is that the cost we have to pay for being lax and letting all these people in? I don't know. I just don't like this one. I'm a little bit more. Um, I haven't liked the execution because I thought we would focus in on the criminal element more originally, but now it seems like
Well, I think what
you
they said
know.
is we
I
will
saw a
focus on the
video. There's
criminal
there's
element, but if
there's
you're not
people
going to help us
working on
get the
a
criminals
there's
out, then we're going to get whoever we get with the
yeah there's people
criminals.
working on a roof, and there's I mean, not only are these not, people not soaking up the system or getting
So
benefits or whatever that second element was. These are people who are contributing
how are they finding
to
these people? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I
Can
would
you just
think
like make a silent or an anonymous phone call to ICE on somebody you don't like?
I don't know. That's another good question. How
I
are
don't
they
know.
going about prioritizing? We don't know, right? We
Right.
don't get they're not doing a press conference every day saying we rounded up this many people. This is how many criminals we have. All we see is like the videos that people are taking now.
My
Uh,
rival landscaping company, I want them out of business, so I'll call
right.
ICE on them. Yeah, it's
That
possible.
that is possible, right? And is that something we want going on? So I would say I understand that it's not an easy process. But again, I think with many things with Trump, you could sort of understand the policy side of things, but the execution is not great on the surface, right? The way they go about things. Um,
Here's the
I,
thing: how long has this been going on, and who's done anything about it? Nobody has done anything
right,
about
because
it.
it's not
Biden made it a
easy.
lot worse.
Because it's not easy, right?
I'm okay with doing something different, something new, because we had to do something. If we can get 1.5 million, what's it been? 6 months? 1.5 million every 6 months to self-deport over the next 4 years. It's not too bad.
So
12 million.
you're okay with a little fear factor thrown in here. If we round up some people, due process, whatever, it's just going to get a little messy. But as long as it's not me and mine, you're okay.
Well, when you put it that way, I'm just not going to answer. But
Well, it's easy when it's somebody else versus somebody you know, and I get it. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. But okay, I'll give that one's one. I'm halfway-ish on. I don't like the way they're doing it, but I understand that there's some need for it to be done.
yeah, I'd like to know more about how they're
Right.
doing it. Right.
So more transparency.
Right.
Okay.
How are they finding these people?
Right. authoritarian regimes don't provide too much transparency. I will just note that. Uh, any concern about setting up detention centers at a rapid clip around the country?
No.
Okay. Not worried about that going to be misused at some point.
Nope.
Because that's what autocrats do, right? At the end of the day.
Hey, when all the illegals are gone, they can turn those into nice breweries.
Well, once you got them set up, you got to use them for somebody, right?
Yep.
All right.
Breweries.
I guess we'll see what happens there at the end of the day. I think that's a future one because we'll see what happens. How about increased funding only going to the Department of Homeland Security and the military?
I
That
don't
to
know if
me
I
is an
believe
indication. Well, it was in the big beautiful bill. They got the biggest
the
increase
only
and everything
the
else.
biggest increase, not
Yeah.
only increase, the biggest increase.
Well, I think they got, yeah, by far the biggest
By
increase.
dollars or percentage or both?
I think both. I think everything else was generally cut or remained the same.
Yeah, I could see the need to increase funding to support deportations.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that if it's temporary.
But that's, again, that's
but
what an authoritarian regime would do.
Here's
I'm
the
just
thing with
pointing
the
out
military,
these
right?
are things that an authoritarian regime would do, whether you like, okay, I could kind of understand that or not. It's still what an authoritarian regime would do, right? I'm sure, and I, you know, there's been many authoritarian regimes, but we always think of, well, Hitler was a Nazi, but
Do we consider Japan
I'm sure
an
people in those
authoritarian
countries always
regime?
thought,
Because Japan has very, very little illegal immigration because they crack down hard on it. Are they an authoritarian regime?
I don't know, do they have all these other things? I don't think so.
Because they've done it right since the beginning. Well,
Well, there's a lot of countries that crack down on illegal immigration. That's not necessarily. I didn't even put that on my list. I mean, I was just indicating that we have federal agents, mass federal agents, invading homes and workplaces and rounding up people who are citizens. When you have a force like that, and you're using it indiscriminately, then again, you're only a couple steps away. Again, the boiling of the pot, right? You have the setup, you have the detention centers, you have people who are above the law without due process.
So when Biden too gets in and decides to triple the size of the IRS, he'll have those detention centers for all the mom and pop tax cheats. What's the difference between increasing the size of the IRS to go after people, the middle class, versus increasing the size of Homeland Security to get the illegals out? Except,
Do I need to explain that one to you, or
no, I'm making the same point. Biden did the same thing.
okay?
He increased the size of a government agency and the funding of the IRS.
He tried to.
Right.
Because there's billions of dollars on the table that we're leaving by not enforcing our tax code.
So the moral of the story is big government is bad because it doesn't really matter whose side you're on or whose side's in power because eventually the other side's going to be in power.
Well, I must have missed the IRS agents pulling people from the streets and their workplaces and throwing them in detention centers.
I got to say it's happened.
Okay. Al Capone, right?
There you go. No, it's happened.
All right. I would say number 5. I'm pretty well. We already spend more in military than we ever should, but increasing spending in there is always not going to make me happy, and I don't think you're happy with increased military spending either.
I think we've got a real problem with inflation. I think it's already accelerating terribly fast, and I think as that continues to happen, especially look at the price of gold. What's it up now? It's well over $4,000 an ounce.
Yep.
So you're going to continue to see that. I mean, you got military spending. Military stuff is expensive to begin with. As inflation occurs, the military spending is going to have to balloon alongside inflation. So should it increase more than whatever your inflation measure is? Probably not. But it should probably increase on par with whatever the measure of inflation is.
All right. I'm going to cover my next 4 together. So, ignoring court orders, he's got a history of that.
Like what?
You okay with that? Well, with the deportation, I think they did ignore court orders. I think
Oh,
they
to turn a
they
flight
they
around or
they were
something?
ruled as in contempt of orders. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's probably not a good thing.
okay. Ignoring Congress, like rescinding funding. I think you're fine with that, right? So if Congress decides to fund something, the president could decide to not fund it. Is that right?
Well, the president has the right to not sign the bill.
Well, the bill has already been signed. It's law, but then he's kind of not. He's doing sort of these pocket rescission things.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
All right. Uh, do you think he's got any resistance in his own party?
Yes.
Okay.
Go
There's
look at Rand Paul.
there's Massey and Paul, right? Those two
Yep,
guys.
those two guys.
I said real resistance.
No, you just said resistance.
Oh, I had no real party resistance. So I'll qualify it and say real resistance. Not that there's ever very much anyway, which is unfortunate because there
His
should be
party,
resistance
not
within the own
unlike
party.
Biden's party, is corporate America. There might be a
I'm
slight
not gonna argue
difference.
there.
There might be a slight difference in what companies prefer which candidate, but it's only a small overall difference.
But I think we're beyond that with with this presidency. I think I think that's something we can solve at a later date. I think we're going to have more immediate concerns that I'm bringing up here. That
Right.
this is just 8 months in, right? This is just 8 months in, and a lot of this stuff has happened in the last 2 or 3 months, right?
The prequel to Vance.
Tariffs. You good with his just?
I don't like tariffs. I've
All
never
right.
liked tariffs. It's a
But
bad
you
idea.
good with the president just cutting these deals on his own, even though I think it's Congress's role?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it legal? I don't know. Is it legal?
Well, they're supposed to have a. It's supposed to be go before the Supreme Court in November. I don't know how long it's going to take them to rule on it, but supposedly there's a hearing set in the early November to decide whether he has the authority to do this.
What do you think they're going to say?
I can't imagine that he has a leg to stand on.
Then you should be out buying equities, don't you think?
I don't know, because then we're going to have to write people checks, aren't we? How do you roll back what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know if you have to write people checks.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the interest rate will shoot up real high.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Keep that on your schedule. Uh, Coercion of media, academia, and law firms. So this gets into
What Biden did.
well, that's free speech attacks. That's number 12. This is number 11. This is just coercing the media. This is, filing these suits against CBS and ABC and strong arming the law firms and strong arming academia because he's got,
Yeah,
and they get
completely
federal
cool with
funding.
lawsuits.
They get federal funding and they've got licenses that come before the government. So he's just, I mean, it's classic organized crime type of activity, right?
Until you have tort reform, I I don't like the way I don't like it, but it's
So you
legal.
don't like that one.
And you know, Biden was doing it. Obama certainly was doing it. I probably got bad under Obama.
What are you referring to here?
Lawsuits.
Against against media companies for leakers? Is that what you're referring to? This is a different animal, right? I mean, he's personally suing companies, right? And I think we talked about it before. You don't have a problem with that, right?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
If you do me wrong, I have a right to sue you. Now, granted, if he loses, he's got to pay their court fees, and they could countersue. But that's a risk he's willing to take.
So you don't think he's in any kind of special position that he could use that to put the screws on anyone?
Doesn't matter. It
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter
Okay.
if he makes $1 a year or if he controls the world. I mean,
So you don't mind corruption then?
I'm not calling it's not corruption. He's following the legal guidelines that have been drawn up for him.
He's filing funny suits against people and trying to get them to settle. He hasn't won any case, from as far as I know, right?
They're settling.
He sued the New York Times for $1 billion
Mm-hmm.
on something that he looks like he did. I don't know. I don't know when that's going to come into court. I think he's guessing that it might not. I don't know the status of it, but he sued him for $1 billion over
Seems
the
like his
Epstein.
lawsuit against CBS is paying off pretty well. Not only did he get money, and did he get the actual unedited text of 60 Minutes, but now they completely are changing out their whole news operation.
Oh yeah. Well, let's go into the free speech attacks. That's because his buddy Ellison bought Paramount, right? His son is running Paramount, and they hired Barry Weiss to take over as editor of CBS News. So it's basically they've co-opted CBS News. The right has co-opted CBS News out.
We'll see about that.
I mean, I don't mind Barry, but I think she's kind of. I'm
Yeah,
suspicious.
she's not a righty, that's for sure.
Well, I'm suspicious of this move. I thought she was setting up something different, and now she seems to be fully co-opted by the right. She's saying not. Not surprisingly. I listened to her explanation. She's like, "No, I'm going in there, and I'm going to make this all better." I'm like, "Okay."
We'll see. We'll see.
Who signed the $150 million check to you, and who are you now reporting to?
Hey, when's our $150 million check coming for this awesome cast?
That's right. Yeah, let's cash it out, baby.
Go.
We're for sale, Larry
We're for
Ellison.
sale. Start at 150
$150. All right.
million. It could be negotiated down with a donut and a bottle of bourbon.
So the free speech thing, you didn't have an issue with how the Kimmel thing went down, the directly threatening people, the blatant saying, we should look at these licenses and saying well before that they were going to go after these people. No issue there. Or you're not.
I don't know. I've said it for years. I've got a problem with blatant falsehoods and biases being spewed as actual news.
Well, he's not a news show. He's a comedian. So.
Right. Kimmel's different, but I mean, ABC, generally speaking, CBS, NBC, it's blatantly just propaganda in many cases. And you've said it before. You watch Fox News, they're saying one thing, you turn on the other channel, and they're not even talking about that news story. They're talking about something completely different. On Fox, it's the biggest story of the day. Same, you can do the opposite. Biggest story of the day on CBS doesn't even be reported on Fox. Right?
No doubt. No doubt there's siloing of information. That's
both
definitely
stories
a concern.
are probably
The issue here
is at all.
The issue here is, does the President of the United States and the head of the FCC put their thumb down on certain individuals who they don't like what they're saying?
Yeah, I think back in the 50s and 60s, the people who run these news organizations would give him the finger and tell him where he can put it, because that's how these organizations were run back then. And that's what I would do if I ran a news org now. If I was running a real news org, legally he can't do anything.
Right.
Go to court.
Yeah, I don't think they should bend the knee at all. I mean, to me, that's quite concerning when they do that, right? They should just say, bring it on, right?
Yep.
Bring it on.
But the
Just
thing
like
is,
like South Park, right? South Park.
That's right.
Even Saturday Night Live, it's kind of,
It's
like,
obvious.
Come on, bring it on. We feel the
obvious why
laws
they're not
behind
doing
us.
that.
Right.
Right.
Because you're saying the corporate system and the money side of things is where they're playing the game.
And where they're not worried about the licenses, right? What they probably are worried about is pharmaceutical commercials, because that's where the vast majority of their money is coming from.
So you're saying the ship has sailed in regards to the integrity of any media organization, most any media organization.
Yep.
And he's just exploiting it for whatever means he wants to exploit it for.
That's right.
All right.
The vast majority of conservatives now get their news from Twitter. I saw that today, I think. Today or yesterday. It's interesting.
Interesting is one word you could use. How about the going after the enemies? Come on. That post to Pam Bondi, the Comey indictment, any concern there? Or is that just fair play? Is that just getting back where... I mean, he said he was going to go after people, right?
Uh,
This is the
it's
interesting thing. Sorry, go ahead.
unpresidential. It's unpresidential.
It's unpresidential. All right.
He's not charging people. These people still get court cases if they're indicted. He's not indicting people. Grand jury is indicting people. Comey was indicted by a grand jury.
Well, he did replace the actually, two people I think that he appointed three have looked into this, decided not to bring charges. He replaced the district attorney in Virginia, Eastern District of Virginia, with a hand-picked person who's never prosecuted a case. His own personal attorney made her district attorney. I heard today they couldn't find any prosecutor in that office to prosecute the case. The two prosecutors that they're using for the Comey case are coming from North Carolina. Not a concern, right? That you have people within the DOJ that are like, I ain't touching this.
Did they not do the same thing to Trump?
Oh, I know you were going to say that. How could you even show me the facts that has happened? That those facts occurred where Biden went. Oh, you're saying there was a special prosecutor, independent. None of that happened here. The two
They
two
changed
states,
the law in New
Georgia
York so
and
they
New
could
York.
go after him.
That's New York. That's New York State. That state.
Yeah.
State has a right to pursue it. It
The
has nothing to do with the
prosecutor in
federal
Georgia
government.
has got
Prosecutor
some
in Georgia
major
was a
issues
state
with her
prosecutor.
integrity. That's right.
Right.
The feds.
This is directing
Well,
the
they
Attorney
raided
General.
Mar-a-Lago. They went
did.
after him for the documents.
They
Right?
did, and I think he had documents there. That court case was never never saw the light of day because he won the election. I don't. I know it's easy to try to equate the two, but he's gone about it in such a way that it's obvious what he's doing, why he's doing it. Like I said, 3 other people have looked at it, decided not to bring it. He replaced them. He sent a tweet to the Attorney General saying, let's get these people. He's...
He's on a mission.
All right.
I don't know. I like I said, it's unpresidential. I don't know if it's legal or not. Again, I think it might be a bit of a fear tactic, fall in line, but he will not be president one day, and then it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to be able to run again. So,
what about the little military talk, with the 800 generals last week and when he's talking about the enemy within? Any concern about the enemy within?
I can't say I know the story at all.
All right. Well, after Pete Hegseth said there was going to be no people with beards or fatties in the military, you might want to look at that.
Actually, I did see that. Yeah.
Trump went up there and basically said, we need to be concerned about the enemy within. Not so much our foreign adversaries, more the enemy within, which means within our borders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's straight out of the dictator textbook, but we're not going to concern ourselves with that.
I don't know. I don't.
Right.
I don't know that story too well, other than the military thing. Our military should be holding standards.
All right.
You got to pass a test.
You don't want any fatties or beardos. You're good with that.
Weirdos are fine.
Weirdos are fine.
But if you can't pass the test that you need to pass to protect yourself and those around you, you should not be in the military.
All right. You saw all the videos with the Hegseth trying to do pull-ups, right?
No, I did not. Honestly, Kevin, I haven't been watching the news
All
at
right.
all lately.
All
At
right.
all.
There's some good ones out there.
Yeah, I need to start doing that, I guess.
All right. Well, I was going to say January 6th and elections, but that's old history by now, right? Not respecting elections. That's kind of out of the dictator authoritarian playbook.
That happens in every election at this point.
Every election since 2016. Or 2020. That was the contested one. Because he won 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
what about
Hillary Clinton did it.
Yeah, sure.
Al Gore did it.
Yeah, right. Dismissal of career civil servants. So like the BLS guy, the I don't like your numbers. What about magnifying independent functions like the Fed?
So is that what happened?
Putting it.
Is it just that he didn't like the numbers, or was it because the revisions? Because there's been revisions going on for years that are terrible revisions, way past fact, huge changes. I mean, is that something they want to continue to allow, or how long are you going to allow that?
Well, if you actually understood the process, then you can point out if there's a change to the process, right? You don't necessarily just try to put somebody in who's going to show you better numbers. And I guess the guy from Northern Illinois backed out anyway because he was really not qualified. Or the Heritage Foundation, right? The guy from Northern who was the Heritage Foundation economist, that I guess it was so embarrassing. So I don't even know who's released. Well, there's nobody releasing the numbers now because we're in a shutdown, but I don't know who's going to be next. Who's next up? But you're not concerned with just like he said he's going to fire people now, and you want to reduce the size of the government, so you're not concerned with necessarily the government shrinking. I'm more concerned with just replacing career civil servants with political hacks.
I don't like career civil servants. I don't like political hacks.
All right.
How about we get some normal people?
As far as I know, the BLS guy was doing the job swimmingly. You're saying, well, there was revisions and whatever, but understanding the process was that corporations stopped responding to these surveys. So I guess you could say we can make corporations respond to it. It's a complicated process, but I don't think replacing somebody with somebody who's going to give you the numbers that you want is a good idea. And replacing the guy on the Fed who wants
here's the thing.
6 interest rate reductions this year.
Yeah,
I don't think that any of that is a good thing.
I don't like the Fed, you know that, but stacking the Fed with people to do your bidding is that's a really bad idea. That's worse than having the Fed in the first place. So yeah, it's not gonna turn out well.
Right.
It's not. It's what I said about quantitative easing 2, and quantitative easing 3. That's a bad idea, and it's not going to turn out well. And we can see the fruits of that now. What's happening with the interest rates and the debt and where it's heading, and this is going to make it. It's just going to make it worse. But anyway.
What about the military parade? That's just fun and games. That was just
I don't care.
That was just the Army. That's not.
That's an expense we don't. That's an expense we don't need. But other than that, I don't care. I mean, it's a parade.
What about bribes and corruption, like the crypto coin thing, the Qatari airplane, the use of the hotels and stuff like that? Any concern about that? That might be a little bit beyond the pale.
Yeah, you got to change the law. It's legal or it's not. And right now it's legal. I mean, I don't like it. That said, it's legal, and if I was in his shoes, I'd do the same damn thing.
All right. So it sounds like you have some concerns. That's most of my list. It sounds like you have concerns, but you're from the standpoint of, yeah, he's pushing the envelope. He's doing some things. I don't like some of the things, but most of it's stuff that other people have done in one form or another. Um, but as I said, that I think it's kind of a sliding scale thing, right? I don't think it's either you are or you aren't. It's sort of like, eh, if you're using executive orders or if you're putting the thumb on media, which Obama and Biden did some, right? Yeah, you might get a 2 or 3 on the scale to 10. But when you have a list of a good number of things that, hey, I'm not really happy with, I don't know where, and there's a potential slippery slope issue here. So, on a scale of 1 to 10 on the autocracy scale, as of this point, on October 8th, 2025, roughly, what, 8 months into Donald Trump's second term, let me ask you this question first. Are we closer to authoritarianism than you thought we would be at this point?
No.
No. So it's what you expected. Is that
Yeah,
right?
in some ways it's less than I expected.
Wow.
Like Doge disappeared fast. I wanted more of that.
All right.
I
But that
expected
wasn't
more of that.
authoritarianism. I mean that was ham-handed
I
cutting.
would like to
I don't
see
even know.
faster deportations.
All right. So
Not fast enough for me.
you're saying the pedal isn't being pressed enough, right?
Yeah, that's
All
exactly
right.
what I'm saying.
So you're not surprised. So on a scale of 1 to 10,
I'd like
let's
to see him going after all these corporations that were deleting posts that the Biden administration wanted them to delete.
going after him for what?
I don't know if people made a post. I don't know who might have done that. Perhaps me, about how early on in COVID that it was created in the lab.
Yeah.
Facebook deleted it. Trump
Yeah.
should go after him for that shit.
For deleting
Absolutely.
a post?
Yeah,
All right.
or
I don't know what the basis of that suit
various
would be.
other, that New York Post story about Hunter's laptop. Twitter was
Yeah.
removing those and banning people for them.
Right?
Go after them. Go after the individuals who did it. And if you can't go after Twitter because there was, you can't. I mean, Twitter can do what they want to. Don't go after the Biden administration or whoever it was in politics that was doing it. Put a stop to it.
For illegal censorship, or I don't know.
Yes, illegal censorship,
or freedom of speech. I
if
don't
they
think
were
you have.
paying,
I don't think
if they were
covered
paying
on
money to have it done, if there was a threat of a changed law, if they didn't do it, any evidence they can find of that stuff happening, they should.
All right. Well, I
after
don't
it.
doubt that he's going to do it. I mean, they've filed many frivolous suits thus far, so throw another one on the pile. So it sounds like you're saying, if I'm getting this right, well, it sounds like you're not happy with some of these things. Generally, you'd like more being done.
Absolutely.
All
Epstein.
right.
That
Well,
stuff.
well, yeah, that's not. I'm just talking on the authoritarian scale.
Yeah.
You've got some room to move on that still. You're saying I'm not that concerned. So 1 to 10, where would you put it now? Would you put it? Let's say Obama was a 2 and Biden was a 3. Where would you put Trump?
I don't think he's an authoritarian.
An 8 to 10 is actual. We're in the authoritarian
Yeah.
regime.
All right. So if I was to compare him to Washington, George Washington,
Wow.
I would give George a 0. I'd put Trump at a 7.
7.
Comparing to modern times,
All right. So you're
I
saying,
put him at about a 2.
So you wouldn't put him any higher than a Biden or a Obama.
Right.
Wow. I hope you're right, but I'm almost about to call we're an authoritarian regime. That's where I'm at.
No.
Yeah, I think I think looking at my list, the stuff you didn't like, you basically said it's just more of the same. There's not much you did like. There's some things you want more of. Uh, but I don't think. I think it's happening. One, it's happening much quicker than I imagined. Uh, I, like you said, there's still need to resolve in the courts, but the courts never move really quickly, and things are being appealed, and states are suing him. Illinois is suing him to not bring in troops, and so while all that occurs, most of the stuff is still happening, right? And I
States
go
are
back to
suing him based on politics.
uh,
The
sure,
conservative states that he's wanting to bring him into hasn't said anything.
right, like Tennessee,
Tennessee with
they're
Memphis.
welcoming him. They're welcoming him. I mean, this is Steve Bannon's, flood the zone. This is the strategy. Just throw everything out there, create chaos.
It is, but you can see it on the other side too, with all the white noise about Trump's evil and authoritarian.
I
And
never say it's.
I
I
mean,
never
when your Social
equate it to
Security
evil.
check gets delivered in Trump coin, then I'd worry. But
All right, like I said, at some point it's too late, right? And I don't know what we could do at this point. He was elected by the people. He's clearly expanding the role of the presidency, pushing the envelope, as you readily admit. My fear is that there's not our institutions don't hold, and that's kind of how it happens, right? Everyone's co-opted, and then it just all sort of folds on itself. And I think we're heading in that direction.
I'm more worried about inflation and the collapse of the dollar at this point. And I think I don't
You're
know.
worried more about the economic side of things
Yep. And
and the
I see
political
that
side.
accelerating more so than the political stuff.
You
And
think that's gonna?
I do think he's making some mistakes there. I think he's not making the same mistakes as Obama and Biden, and even what he did in his first term, which he made some mistakes there. Um, but I think the mistakes he's making now, while different, are going to exasperate those mistakes, and I think it's a problem. Price of gold is telling. If you
Yeah,
look at
I
like
don't
the
know.
stock market, how fast it's growing right now, but you look at some of the private funds like Blackstone, they're not doing as well, which tells you there's something. Not only are they not doing as well, they're dropping, which tells you there's something going on in private equity that you're not seeing in the public market. It's concerning to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I can't figure out the market at this point. It's uh, I don't know which direction it's going to go. I heard a Citi equity analyst on CNBC this morning that basically said, "Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about the jobs, but that's really good for the S&P. The S&P doesn't really show isn't really reflective of the job situation, and I don't really care about that at this point."
Yeah,
That
what's
gets
kind of
back to
interesting there.
the AI play and everything like that. I do think the AI play is probably real. I think the biggest concern is, as we've talked about before, is the ultimate job situation. But he's basically saying that's in the future. For right now, I think the market can run further. Now, gold going up, I think, is a hedge against the dollar, um,
Gold and
especially
silver.
when we start dropping interest rates. That's going to weaken the dollar even further, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, all that is, I Bitcoin has gone up. Um, I don't know what's causing all of all of it really.
I do
It's
think some of it is like expected inflation, right? I think that's kind of become the plan for the future is to
Well, yeah,
inflate assets.
right. There's all I read is that all of it is a reaction to this quote unquote letting it run hot,
Yep.
which is what they expect Trump to do for his term. Let it run hot, which means higher inflation, inflated asset prices, all of that, right? That he's going to put his foot on the Fed and between tax cuts and fiscal and monetary policy, he's going to rev it, right? Um, which for the short term might, increase asset values, whether the long term strategy, whether that's right or not. But I would say, yeah, I hear you on the economic side. Um, I think we've talked about that before. I don't know what's going to happen first, uh, but I think on the
Yeah.
economic side, we've hinted, we've talked about a correction for several years now, and it hasn't happened, right? Um,
I heard they're talking about issuing some new bonds tied to gold, which I thought was interesting.
yeah, I never, whatever. Um, so I don't know what's going to go first. It just keeps on running. Uh, there's AI. I would say if I was going back to the authoritarian side of things, I would say I'm not quite to the 8 to 10 range. I would put it in the probably a 6, and a quicker 6 than I thought we would get to. Um, my concern also, as you say, the economics things. If things start going bad, I think he's going to turn up the authoritarian side more. Right? That would make sense, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to continue to test, and I think things are going to get washed out by the court.
All right.
I don't know.
You're
I mean,
thinking our institutions are going to hold. Your concern is more on the economic side at this
yeah,
point. You're not fearful of our institutions not holding.
that's correct.
Okay.
Our institutions, yeah. Now politicians, on the other hand, are nothing but paid corporate employees at this point, which is a problem.
So when we started the year, you said everything's going to be okay. It sounds like you're less sanguine about that now, more for the economic reasons and some of the mistakes he's made on that end.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that right?
Because I do think, yeah, I do think it's just going to exasperate it. Yes,
Okay.
I do. I think now I don't know if it's going to happen under his term because, like you said, those are my thoughts exactly. He's going to let it run hot. He's going to keep it going, and then, but sooner or later, that fire is going to burn out. There's going to be no more fuel.
Yeah. I mean,
Then you just got to hope all the equities that you own don't collapse to zero, so there's a chance they come back in 10 years.
yeah. I'm not concerned about that. I think there's still plenty of value out there, and I think if AI actually pays off as it should, or as they're talking about it will, that could be a phenomenal productivity driver. The concern is how do you spread all that wealth
Yeah.
around at the end of the day, right? If it ends up in a few hands, then we've got more problems.
Yeah, I mean, if Elon Musk is the only one who makes money off of robo-taxis, we're going to be in a real problem
And
situation.
that's what I think we're sort of seeing with the market divide between the labor side of things and the market side of things, and that's to me just a indication of what's to come. If we don't kind of think about how best to go about this, so people can be taken care of while we're being going through this transition, but that's for another day. So I'm much more concerned than you are on the authoritarian. Not surprising. I'm not willing to call it just yet, although I'm very close to calling it. I don't know what's gonna. I don't know what's gonna tip me over. Like you said, as far as the atomic bomb thing being the only thing he can do, I haven't decided what I would need to see to say, okay, he's gone over the edge. Uh, but like I said, it's happened much quicker, and I think he's much higher than anything we've ever encountered before. I guess I would need to see what some of the court rulings are going to be, because I think if the courts don't check him, he's going to go further, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'll go as
right,
far as he can,
right.
all the way till the
So
end.
if the courts, let's say he gets favorable rulings on the military and the streets, right? They appeal it. He has the right to do that. Then he's going to go further. If the tariff thing works in his favor, he's going to go further with that, right? He's going to keep on pushing until somebody stops him. You're saying somebody's going to stop him.
Yep.
You don't.
He'll
You
stop
say
him when it's time, anyway. Yeah.
right. You say he's got more room to move. You'd actually like him to be more aggressive, which that's your opinion and that's what you want to see. That's fair enough. But at some point, somebody's got to stand in his way, right? Otherwise, we are. You do know that we can get there, right? We can't get there in this country. That we can. It's not it can't happen here thing, is it? We can't get an authoritarian that we all voted for, right? Not that we all did, but
Oh, I think
elected.
a real authoritarian is coming. I don't know if
Okay.
it's going to be on the right or the left, but
All
they
right.
will come.
Okay. So you do believe it can happen here,
Yeah. Oh,
and
absolutely.
it may happen in the future. You just don't think we're there yet.
You're right.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. And I don't think we're necessarily there yet either, to be fair. But I'm more concerned than I have ever been in my life that it's happening quicker than I thought. That's where I will end it on that high note. Another enlightening and positive. We need to have like a positive podcast, I think, soon. Something light and airy. What do you say? You
That
need to come
sounds
up
good.
with something. Yeah.
All right. Light
Something
and airy.
fun. Something
Like
fun.
a sponge cake.
Something fun. We're like a sponge cake. A little well, it would be sort of like, what do they call that you eat between meals? A palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Some little it's usually gelato or something that you eat, right? Isn't it? I
Light.
I can't think of the name. That's what we need because these podcasts are becoming too heavy. So I'll let you come up with something light, Bob. You're good at that. Something
We'll
fun.
see. Something fun.
Something
All
fun.
right. I'll work on that.
All right. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Let us know how you enjoy these podcasts. We appreciate the feedback that we get now and again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Adios.
Adios.